Hello, I'm Danny,
And I'm Jake.
and this is Marvel Talk. Hello everybody, welcome back to Marvel Talk. We're here with a terrifying new episode as we're going in through the latest 3 episodes of WandaVision. That's episodes 4, 5, and 6. And as well as some news that came out since the last time we talked that's been pretty hype, and we got to talk about it now.
Updates on certain things, and all kinds of new trailers and footage and stuff to check out. So I'm pretty stoked, man. There's even news about the current show we're watching, about these final 3 episodes. Have you heard that news tidbit?
I looked into it because somebody else following was like, what's the info on this? Like, where's the source? And I was looking into it. I'm like, oh, okay, it kind of makes sense how they got to that conclusion. But before we get into all that, over on Unversedpodcast, that's our other podcast here, we got an email, and I figured it'd be appropriate to bring it in over here too. Cool. And if you do want to send an email to this show, that is marveltalkpodcast@gmail.com. And this email is from none other than our boy Serge, aka Tobey Maguire fan 53.
Heck yeah.
It's a great page, by the way. A lot of good memes over there. So his question is, are there any certain movie or TV show IPs that you want to see games for? Personally, he wants more X-Men games. He talked about how Wolverine Origins was his jam back in the day.
Yeah, the Origins game is absolutely excellent. Yeah, I'd like to see more like Avengers games and stuff. I think that would be pretty fun. I kind of miss the movie tie-in games. At a certain point, I would have liked the current Avengers game that came out to kind of just be based on the movies. I feel like it probably would have been easier that way. I mean, I've also always been a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I wouldn't mind them getting some more video games one of these days. That would be pretty cool. What about you?
Yeah, I mentioned a few on the other show. I remember there was talks for that canceled Daredevil game.
Oh, that would have been tight.
Yeah, I figured a Daredevil game would be pretty cool. And then I mentioned it'd be cool to see a Flash game, and of course it'd be like a third-person action type of game.
Yeah.
But you could throw in utilizing his speed and the Speed Force. You can throw in some pretty unique puzzles, I think.
Yeah, I think that one would be pretty fun to see fleshed out. I mean, I still want to see that Superman game they were working on around the time of Superman Returns. I really wish that game could have gotten finished because I loved the concept of you have to, there isn't like a health bar for Superman himself. The health bar is the city and like how destroyed and stuff it is and how much respect Superman has for like saving certain people and like helping out in different situations and everything. And like that's more how you succeed or fail in the game. I always thought that concept was very interesting. Yeah. And I was always bummed that never really came to fruition.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, there's plenty of IPs to get into, but I think just the ones I mentioned are probably like the ones that can catch my eye right away.
Yeah, same here. I don't know how many more I can think of off the top of my head, but definitely the Superman game. That's one I always wanted. Something that's just as good as the Arkham games for Batman. I want that for Superman. That's all I want. And they already gave me like my favorite Spider-Man game. Like that happened.
I mean, if anything, I could always go for another Wolverine game, but I would say definitely change it up and have like a different time period. Like we could go back to Japan, give us like a World War II game or something. It
would be kind of cool to have a game that spans different time periods as Wolverine. Like there's just like a much longer narrative going on with him as a character.
There was an arc during Old Man Logan. It was called Past Lives. I think it was like 4 or 6 issues. I can't remember. But what was going on was he asked a villain to send his soul into his past, which would mean it would send him to the alternate future that is the Old Man Logan universe. And I forget why. Like it was like to save his kids or something. Like he wanted to change the timeline that way. But of course, the villain kind of screwed him over, and he just kept sending his mind back into the past. And so it was going through like key periods in Logan's life. And it went all the way back to the beginning, which gave us the new canon of how old Logan is. Like he's a lot older now.
Oh, okay.
He was already an adult serving in the army in Canada in like 1809, I think.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, because originally I think it was like the 1880s is when he was a kid and got his powers. So they changed that up, and they confirmed it was canon because eventually he got to the point where he was with the X-Men. They were playing baseball, and he told like Colossus or Iceman, like, "Hey, this is happening in this year. Like, make sure you come rescue me." And then they show up, so it's like, oh, okay, so his past is the main line, Logan's past as well.
Huh, that's cool. Yeah, that'd be neat to see a game based around that arc. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, because that's the one thing I always wondered. I'm like, it would be cool to see like a Wolverine show or something where it's like different time periods because there's a lot to work in with his life.
Yeah.
So thanks, Toby, for the great email here. And again, if you want to send it to this podcast specifically, that's marveltalkpodcast@gmail.com. So without further ado, man, I guess safe to say we could go ahead and start off with this episode going through some WandaVision. Yeah, we could just start off talking about what the next 3 episodes are going to be like real quick. There was talk that the next 3 episodes are going to be an hour each.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, that we're going to get a little bit more content.
When I was looking for the info on this, Collider did a interview with the director for the show. I think it was at that point they already watched 3 episodes. The person giving the questions was asking, so is each episode going to get longer as we go in and get more content? Like, what's the total runtime of WandaVision? And he gave us an estimate saying it's roughly going to be 6 hours. So I think that's where they got the number. I actually haven't done the tally on how many minutes we've already had on the show, but I'm going to guess that if you add it all up, there's about 3 hours left. There's 3 episodes left, if you divide it evenly. Yeah, so I just did it real quick. It comes out to like 3.48 hours. So that's like 3.5 hours. I doubt he's going to count the credits that are 7 minutes each, right?
Oh my God. The credits. That's my... Okay. I will be upfront right now, and I will tell you that the credit sequences of WandaVision are the most annoying part of the show. And I get it. There's a lot of people working on it that need their credits out there, but holy moly.
But yeah, so that's roughly 2.5, 3 hours, depending on if he's counting the credits or not left for the show. So I could see how that's probably where they got the number. Which I think it makes sense though, because after going through episodes 4 through 6, like there's still a lot of ground to cover from all the new info we've gotten, man. And I gotta say, like, these are really solid episodes. I think I like these a lot more than the previous 3.
I'm of two minds about it because I really do like the first 3 episodes a lot because of how classical television it is, like how much of a love letter those first 3 episodes are. And like these last 3 episodes start to blur the line a lot more between the reality and like the TV aspect of what's going on, which it's cool, but I get thrown off a lot by the aspect ratio changes in the most recent episodes, like when it goes to the widescreen for the real world and then it comes back to the WandaVision world and it's full screen and it fills up the entire screen. Like especially in this latest episode, I thought that the stuff in town looked like 100 times better than the stuff happening at like the sword base.
Right.
Like the sword base was so boring looking and drab. Meanwhile, the town actually looks like really nice, and you just get to see everything in the image, and there aren't like black bars cutting stuff off. I don't know. It feels like they're doing that, like if it would be viewed on like a movie screen almost, like in a theater. But obviously that's not where we're watching it. We're watching it on television sets. So I don't know. To me, that shift kind of jars me out of it a little bit, which I guess is supposed to be sort of the point. But I just liked how consistent those first 3 episodes were with like the way that they looked and everything. I will say I'm a huge fan of how they brought back Malcolm in the Middle style for the last episode that came out, episode 6.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
That was pretty great. Episode 5 was the more Full House style one, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
That one was a little bit more like Full House, and then the one right before that was like it
was the big recap episode, essentially.
Oh, that was the Snap episode, right? The blip episode? Was that episode 4?
Yes.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot too. I will say that the most interesting part of the show for me is all of the stuff happening in the town, and the least interesting stuff is all the stuff happening with
Sword.
I honestly don't care about anything happening with them or with Rambo or Darcy. You know, Jimmy Woo's cool. He's fun, but like at the end of the day, it's not what I'm here to watch. I'm here to watch Wanda and Vision.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you, man. It sucks to see how generic Sword is, at least with the director. Like I thought we were past this type of cliche.
It's just Shield again. Like it just feels so boring and tired. Like this feels like the Sword stuff feels like Agents of Shield, which I feel like it shouldn't. We did all that. We did like 8 seasons of that. And I don't want more of that.
Well, if I had to be fair for Agents of Shield, I think the main characters in there had way more personality than the director here. Yeah, episodes 4 through 6 were pretty solid for the most part, you know, aside from what we're talking about right now.
I've been liking them so far with how they're like going forward and stuff. The pacing feels pretty good. I like that we're getting little tidbits here and there, and like there's pieces of the puzzle that are starting to fall into place, and other ones that aren't. I'm digging it. I'm digging it a lot.
So moving forward, spoilers for episodes 4 through 6 for WandaVision.
Can we just talk about the cool costumes in episode 6 real quick? I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. So episode 6 is the Halloween episode, right? We saw bits of that in the trailer with Wanda and Vision wearing a version of their classic comic book outfits. You know, like you said, Malcolm in the Middle is bringing that into here. I think that made it a lot more fun for the Halloween episode.
That was great. Very early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s style shots and shooting and filming and everything. I loved it. I thought it was great. I love the intro. like the super like sitcom-y 90s intro where they're just like running around the house at like high speed with a camera. Like that was awesome. Like very nostalgic. I loved it. And I loved all of their little Halloween costumes. Quicksilver's being probably my favorite. That hair, man.
Yeah, a classic nod to the 90s of the comics, right? That was fun. And yeah, it was cool to see the twins wear costumes that are basically what they wear in the comics when they get their powers.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And then the fact that this is the episode where we get them too, I thought was interesting.
Yeah, like that their powers show up for the first time. It's good stuff, man.
The craziest part is how the age progression happened. You know, we were talking about that last episode of like, I wonder how they're gonna explain like the kids growing up.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that back with episode 3, and it's just that they can just will it. Like the two of them can just force themselves to age up.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, right? Because it's not like they're aware of what this place is, or that they even have those kind of powers, right? Because it's only Wanda, but maybe it's because they're from Wanda, they could bend the rules like that.
I think there's a little bit of awareness, right? Because they make pretty heavy-handed comments about Wanda being able to bring back people from the dead, like Vision.
Yeah, because their dog died from Agnes. She accidentally ran it over, I think, which...
No. The dog ate some of her bushes in front of her house. Some of her bushes that have ingredients that are used in very witchy spells and stuff. Accidentally, I have a lot of thoughts about Agnes. I don't think she is who she says she is. I think there's a lot more going on with her than we've seen up to this point.
Yeah, I've seen people talk about that, how it's just like, was that an accident? Who knows? Because of just the way that she's been on the show, she's very self-aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? Like talking about Geraldine, who was, you know, Rambo, and saying like, she has no home, you know, or they're like, do you want me to take it from the top? Like, this is what you want me to do, right?
And then there's like the aspect of her where she's always there with the perfect thing to help out with the situation.
Well, I think that's just the TV trope side of it, though, isn't it?
To a point, I think so. And then there's also her ignoring a lot of what Wanda does with her powers. Like there's a lot of that where like Wanda will do magic stuff. Like there's the moment in the episode where they first get the dog where Wanda does something magical and Vision's like, you did that right in front of her. And Wanda's like, well, she doesn't care. She hasn't noticed any of it. Like she hasn't even noticed the kids aging up. And I'm like, I think she has noticed, but she's keeping it quiet. I don't know. There's just something off about Agnes, I think.
Well, especially in episode 6, right, when Vision talks to her,
yep.
when they're getting closer and closer to the edge of this hex.
Yeah.
And just the way she was talking, and you know, I was like, oh, because she's at the edge, that's why she's kind of tripping out right now, right? Because as we saw Vision walking through the world, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like a game. Like these parts of the town aren't like fully loaded essentially, right? We have like a lot of glitches going on. Everyone's frozen.
Like the main character isn't in those areas, so that part of the world doesn't need to exist essentially.
Yeah. Which I think my theory is that maybe as like the longer they're there, Wanda's losing control of the world, because there was a lot of moments in these few episodes where, you know, everyone's becoming self-aware. Like when she was talking to their neighbor, who was like the neighborhood watch guy, while everyone's trick-or-treating, and he's just like, basically the way he was talking sounded like he's like, do you want me to like change up what's going on?
Yeah, do you want me to fix this? Like, is there something I can do to change it up? Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think also with the twins being able to do what they want like that, that could be it too. Is like as their powers are getting stronger, maybe she's getting weaker.
Like Vision overcoming the brainwashing as well. Like that might have something to do with it. There's a lot of aspects that seem to be colliding right now. For me, especially with Agnes though at the edge, I thought it was super fishy. She was still able to talk at all, while he had seen so many people up to that point who were just frozen getting out to that edge of the thing. Like she shouldn't have even been able to move. So I think that aspect of her shows that she's powerful on another level. Did you watch Jeremy John's breakdown of episode 6?
No, I haven't listened to any thoughts or feedback yet.
Okay. He had a wild theory about Agnes, which I think could be kind of cool. I don't think it's going to happen, because I think it would be really hard for them to figure out how to do it, but it would be neat. His theory was that Agnes is Olivia Octavius from Into the Spider-Verse. Like, she's not a witch, she's not, like, a metahuman, she's just Olivia Octavius after the events of Spider-Verse and her getting pulled through the multi-dimensional portal.
Okay.
Because there's a deleted scene from Spider-Verse I found out about that shows her waking back up while the Super Collider's still on and jumping into it.
Oh.
Yeah. I had no idea about the scene either. I saw it's like rough animation still on it, but it exists. So I'm like, oh, that Agnes actress is already the voice actress for Octavius. It's technically already ready to go right there. So I don't know. That could be very interesting if that's how it shakes out. I have a feeling it probably won't, just because I feel like it's a pretty tall order for Sony and Marvel to come together on that kind of deal. Outside of a Spider-Man property, like in something like this, it might be a little difficult, but this is supposed to be the lead into the multiverse of madness. So
I was thinking after episode 6 as well, was that whether or not we're already tapping into the multiverse on the show, right? With the obvious surprise ender on episode 5 with Evan Peters showing up as Pietro.
Yeah, okay, so thoughts on that, man. How do you feel about Fox's Quicksilver showing up as described?
After watching episode 6, I was thinking maybe this isn't that version of Quicksilver. Maybe this is the MCU Quicksilver, but he just has the different face.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the conversation he had with Wanda when they were sitting at on the park bench in the middle of town.
Yeah, like he's talking about how he remembers getting shot in the streets.
Yeah, because she's like, how did you even get here? Yeah, and he's just like, well, I heard you're calling for me and I knew you needed me, so I just ran over here. I don't think he knows he's dead.
I think he's sort of aware of it. He talks about the gunshots, like being shot and disappearing. And he like talks about hearing the call, and then he's like, so I came. Like sort of like in a metaphysical way. I have a theory about Quicksilver. I don't think he's Quicksilver. I think it's Doctor Strange. I'm just throwing it out. I'm calling it now. I think it's Doctor Strange. I think he's disguised himself as Quicksilver to get closer to Wanda and try and figure out what's going on. Because he's, like, hyper aware of what's happening inside the Hex. Like, he's like, how'd you do all this stuff? It's nice that you kept the kids, like, safe. Obviously somewhere, like, tucked away. So you must have had them asleep or something.
Well, yeah. He asked, like, well, how'd you do it with the kids? Yeah, that was an interesting question. And I'm pretty sure that Wanda can't control him at all, right? Because just the way he was talking and acting, yeah.
And then there's, like, the aspect of him, like, well, I'll take the kids around and do this, this, and this. And she's like, well, maybe not. And then, like, there's a lot of people have pointed this out. There's a part where he goes, kick ass. And then she goes, kick ass. Huh.
Yeah, that
was I was
great.
like, oh, okay. Is that a little reference? Is that a little reference to both of the Quicksilvers being in Kick-Ass? Yeah, I don't know. That I don't know if that's fully what that would be.
I'd be on board with it not being Quicksilver, and if it's somebody else, I would like it to be Doctor Strange, but I just think the comment of saying, like, your dead husband can't die twice, I don't know if that's something Strange would say.
That is true. That would be a little... But I don't know. Strange is pretty snarky. He can get pretty snarky about some comments. So
that is true, but I just think that might be a little step too far.
Yeah,
you know, if he's trying to, especially if he's there to get info and to maybe calm down Wanda at the same time.
Yeah,
but going back to why I don't think it's probably the X-Men version is, you know, we get that shock scene again that Wanda had with Vision, but with Pietro, where we see him dead with the bullet wounds.
Yeah.
And that could just be like PTSD kicking in for her. As we saw in episode 6, when Vision tries to escape the Hex, we see that his body is being destroyed, right? So that answers the question of, oh, so he's not really alive because he can't leave this place. If he leaves, it's going to be his dead body. And since we're going to go that dark, then this could possibly be Pietro's dead body.
Maybe. I'm curious if there's an aspect of Vision can't leave the Hex because Wanda just won't let him. Like, it's almost like a gravity well situation. But if she was, if she did allow him to leave, I wonder if he could of his own power. Like, obviously her powers are related to Infinity Stones, right? Specifically the experimentation with the Mind Stone, which is the one that Vision has in his head. We get to see that he still has some type of power to release people's brains from the brainwashing, right? So there is an aspect of the Mind Stone within him. So I'm curious if there's some sort of shenanigans going on where Wanda may have recreated the Mind Stone in some way, because I know that Kevin Feige had said a while, like after Endgame, that the Infinity Stones aren't destroyed, they're just dispersed. Like, if there was somebody powerful enough, they could piece them back together atom by atom, because technically they cannot be destroyed, they can only be disassembled to their like most base state.
Yeah, isn't that something that like didn't Thanos word it like that?
Yeah, like Thanos said that he like spread the atoms out across the entire universe or something like that, right? Like, so the only person I could think of that would be strong enough to be able to, you know, pull them back together like that would be Wanda.
Because we saw her already destroy the stones in Infinity War.
Yeah, like she has the ability to destroy them, so why not bring them back?
Well, here's the interesting part with that is the timeline of Westview, Vision being there, and all of that stuff, right? Because as we get into, I think it was episode 5, they revealed that they were looking at Vision's body in a lab. And then I'm guessing somebody tipped off Wanda, right? Probably the person behind all this.
So obviously SWORD, I would imagine, is the people who were experimenting on him. Because when they have a tracking thing on him in the computer when Darcy's following him, right? He's called the Asset.
Right. Well, it's not a tracking device, though. They were looking up the decay factor for...
of his vibranium.
Yeah, like the radiation that emits. Yeah.
But it was something that the director set up to track him, not something that Darcy set up. Darcy simply found that program running, like, on a computer.
But yeah, so yeah, somebody tipped off Wanda that Vision's body is being, dissected or experimented on, researched, and she didn't like that.
Yeah, they're using the pieces for something. Maybe trying to create more Visions? I don't know.
Or maybe just seeing how the technology worked behind it.
Like how he was built type deal.
I guess, but it was Dr. Cho's bio thing, whatever it was, right, that built the body that they used on Hawkeye.
The chamber thing that got built. Yeah.
Unless they're just trying to find some remnants of something like from the Mind Stone or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll probably get the reveal for that in this season or in this show.
I can't see this getting a second season. This is going to be a one and done type deal. This isn't going to be like Mandalorian where there's another season of WandaVision.
How would you justify a season 2 of a show called WandaVision when we're going to get the resolution of this at the end? But yeah, also, and then, going back to Vision, actually confronting Wanda about what's going on and her trying to use the TV show reality to move on, to not argue. And they get into that fight where they float in the air. He's like, so, how are you doing this? What's happening? And she's like, well, I don't know how I did it. So that kind of gets into how, maybe she didn't build this place. She was put here. But it's through her emotions and, through some temptations that she's doing this to all the people.
Yeah, she is obviously still very much in control of the Hex, because she can obviously, fully pause all of the people there, and then she can expand it. Because that was the big end of episode 6 was her expanding the Hex out to encompass more area than just Westview itself. Feels like maybe an outside force started the Hex, and then, or even goaded her into starting it. Hard to know. Still hard to know.
Yeah, I could see somebody doing it, like Mephisto or whatever does it, and then just says oh look, Wanda, you can live here with Vision. And then, do what you want to do in here. And then, of course, mess with her memory, since she still has a hard time trying to remember exactly how they got there.
Yeah. And even at the beginning of the show, she didn't really remember anything happening outside of the show. It's very interesting that she got mind wiped, and slowly but surely over the course of the season, she's starting to remember everything about what's happened. When she gets asked about her brother by the kids, and she starts telling them about him, and then he just shows up, and it's oh, well, he's back now. I don't know. There's some very interesting stuff going on with how Wanda's powers are working out in this whole situation. And I'm curious if it's 100% Wanda's powers, or if there's another aspect of it. I'm also curious how meta they're going to go with everything, because of, I'm curious if Wanda is going to discover that she is a comic book movie character by the end of this show. I'm wondering how meta they're going to go. If she's going to figure out that the MCU just isn't real.
I hope not.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That would be a pretty far stretch if they did that, but I'm curious if it's going to happen.
Lot of great stuff in here. Wanda continues to be terrifying. And very intimidating as things aren't really going her way, especially when she leaves the Hex to confront Sword, and the way she threatens them, and sort of I think her accent kind of comes back, right?
Yeah, she brings her Sokovian accents immediately back when she leaves the Hex, which is another thing that Pietro asks her about. I think it's interesting that we get flashbacks to them as kids. We got one flashback to them as kids, like a comedy cutback, obviously, but it's still interesting to see.
Yeah, because we know that Evan Peters' Quicksilver is not, he didn't grow up in the same environment as they did in the MCU.
Yeah, no, he was 100% a kid living in America with his single mom, waiting for Magneto to come back.
Yeah,
but we do know that Wanda, in some capacity, exists in the X-Men universe, because.
Yeah, she's the younger sister to Peter in there.
Yeah, we never see her.
No, we do.
Oh, do we? Do we see Pietro's little sister? I thought they just mentioned her, and then they didn't show her.
There's the scene where their mom's yelling at him, and she's yelling at the sister, and then there's the shot towards the third act where they're showing Magneto do all that stuff on the news, we see Peter sit down in front of the TV and his sister's there in his lap while they're watching it.
Oh, it's from the Rogue Cut version. Is that why I haven't seen this scene?
Oh, really? It's in the Rogue Cut?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, I feel like parts of this scene are in the main cut, but I feel like it seems, I don't think the sister gets shown originally.
Yeah, well, that is the last time I watched Days of Future Past was the Rogue Edition, just to see what the differences were.
Yeah, I don't remember the sister popping up in this at all originally, so maybe that's part of the Rogue Cut. Okay, wait, does Quicksilver die in Dark Phoenix?
No, what happens is he starts running on top of debris, and then because Jean Grey has the Phoenix Force, she could see it and reacts and moves some of the debris. He slips and misses the fall, and then just slams himself into a building. He breaks like a bunch of bones. And then so he's sort of out of commission for the rest of the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he gets. I'm watching a clip of it right now, and they're skipping around pretty fast. But I saw that was pretty brutal. When he gets like just tossed. Ugh. Yikes. The special effects of all the X-Men movies are still like super great. These costumes are just horrible, though, man. These are such terrible costumes. They're so bad.
Yeah, I forget you haven't seen Dark Phoenix yet.
Yeah, I know. I never got around to watching it. Who made the call to get rid of the 90s costumes that they had at the end of Apocalypse? Who made that call?
I get it, having a team uniform, quote unquote, so that way we could kind of get back on track to the original trilogy, but these ones are just lower quality, in my opinion, compared to the black ones.
Terrible. They look like an afterthought. They really do. Like, anyway, getting off of these terrible Halloween costumes and back to the good Halloween costumes. Yeah, it doesn't look like Quicksilver dies right there. And he's also not shot by bullets. So, obviously, this Quicksilver that we're seeing in the WandaVision show isn't entirely the Fox one, right?
Yeah, like if I'm remembering correctly in Dark Phoenix, like I think we do see a scene of him after running into a building, and like he's just like with crutches or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean I don't remember that. I don't think about that movie at all, so
That's fair. That is fair. Yeah. I don't think anybody needs to think about that movie.
But yeah, moving back onto the show, I think the kids are cool of where they're at now. I think they're going to stay this age for a while.
I feel like we might see one more age up in like the final episode, but I can't see it happening earlier than that. Mm-hmm. I'm also curious if they're even going to be around once the show's over, because in the comics, don't they disappear like after the House of M arc? Is that a thing?
I think that's the reason why Wanda says no more mutants, right?
Yeah,
like something happens to the kids.
Yeah, and they disappear, and then like I think it's if I remember right, it's Mephisto kind of conjured them for Wanda, like he kind of made her have them in whatever alternate reality she had created, and then took them back because they were technically half Mephisto energy. So he was just like, and we're done, and I'm taking them. And then that was where she was like, oh no, my children, I loved them. And she goes, no more mutants, and destroys them all. And then there's some weird hijinks later where they come back, and then they're looking for Wanda. I'm not fully caught up on all that stuff.
Yeah, and I also know there was a comic run called The Visions, and I think Kevin Feige brought it up at one point when they were talking about WandaVision. And in that comic run, it's Vision makes his own family. Like, it's just him with a wife and 2 kids, and they all look like him. And it's sort of like set in this kind of sitcom-y style way where they look like they're living the American dream in the classic American vision.
Okay.
So I think they pull stuff from there, and I haven't heard anything about that comic, but I'm pretty sure that family is gone too at the end of that run.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
That, you can't change your status quo up that much for these characters.
Yeah.
So,
except I think I know his daughter's around in the comics. She's like a new character that's been doing stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she was in that comic run Champions with all the new young heroes.
I like that. Wiccan, as he's known in the comics, but I don't remember what his name is in the show.
I think it's the speedster, right?
No, that's the magic one. Wiccan's the magic one.
That should be Tommy.
Okay, Tommy. I like that Tommy currently in the show is now wearing a headband so that we can't see his little mark of the Mind Stone anymore on his forehead. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, I don't know if that's going to become a more pronounced thing as the show goes on. I'm not sure. I think it's also kind of cool that Wiccan's powers allow him to see outside of the hex.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has an awareness that's obviously separate from Wanda. So it's very interesting, all these different superpowers and how they're working.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting moving forward, because now that the kids have this freedom with their powers, they're going to start questioning more of what's really going on with their parents, and then probably explore more of Westview, because as Wanda told them when Billy was running around, don't go past Ellis Road or whatever it was called.
Yeah, that
was the street where Agnes stopped her car. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see next episode, and then maybe that's the reason why they're going to grow up, is so that way they could kind of get into the adolescent phase, I guess.
Yeah, the rebellious teenage phase.
Yeah. Oh, and I gotta say, we didn't mention it, but the way they aged, the morphing they did with the CG was interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of neat. How they just aged up really fast. It was just whoop, and then they were there. And I think it's interesting that they were their defense mechanism to accepting that the dog was dead was they were just gonna age up again. And she was like, no, don't do it again. You have to process death. And I'm like, yeah, you process death, Wanda?
Yeah, and speaking of that, right, I think I mentioned it last episode, for me, it's still a little confusing that all of us, it's that trope where all of a sudden, no, I'm not okay with this. Let's bring him back. Where at the end of Endgame, she was accepting his death along with Pietro's.
Yeah, that's still something that I think is kind of weird. Did she fully accept the death or not? That's something I still am not clear on.
If she is being influenced, I am more okay with that, right? Because she got coerced of getting back into those feelings, and especially learning what they're doing to Vision, whatever it is that they were doing, can help fuel that rage to come back, and that she still misses him a lot. So if we could get some kind of explanation like that, I'll be okay with it.
And I gotta say, I love Vision in the different paintings at the beginning of episode 5.
Yeah, it's just him being a dad.
Yeah, it's great. I even like that Vision's special effects for the episode 6 purposefully look a little dated. The way that his cape hangs and stuff when he transforms fully into Vision. When he's still in Westview, he has almost a dated kind of aspect to him, where there's elements of practical mixed with CG, but the CG doesn't look super great. And then when he goes outside the hex, he's just full on I'm back to being Vision from Avengers Age of Ultron. I thought that was kind of interesting that they went to that level with him. They gave him just regular hands while he's Vision still in the hex, even though he's got the rest of his body, so that way he could keep the wedding ring on his finger.
All right.
Which I thought was kind of neat. I liked Wanda influencing all the sword agents to aim their guns at the director. I thought that was kind of cool. That her powers are that strong.
Cool little callback to X1, right? With Magneto.
Yeah, where Magneto aims all the guns at the cops. Yep.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned it briefly, but yeah, just the beginning of episode 4 was such a strong start, and that's when I was like, oh, I know I'm gonna like these episodes as they come out.
Oh yeah. Episode 4 is that blip intro was just so good.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it did take me a while to realize what was happening when she was coming back in as particles. I was trying to think, I'm like, well, what's going on? And then as soon as all the chaos was happening, I was like, oh, this is what we're seeing. This is great.
The implications of it are crazy because I think back to like how airplanes crashed, right? Because people who were on the airplanes, like if they were pilots, just disappeared. And if they were passengers, like other people would just disappear next to them or whatever. So all the people who disappeared on airplanes reappeared in the air. So there's probably quite a number of people who died.
Again, yeah.
Based on different locations they were in. Like if they were on like a subway train or something, so they just appear on subway tracks in the middle of like working hours, right? Like there's a lot of that's kind of like I wonder if She-Hulk, the show, is going to expand on that, because Hulk is the one who ultimately brought everyone back. So I'm curious if there's going to be a link to the Hulk having a lot of guilt over doing all this. Like he's going to be racked with pain over all the people that potentially died from what he did. So that could be kind of interesting to see where that goes.
I like that idea, and I hope you're right, Jake, because I think they mentioned, She-Hulk's going to be a legal comedy show. So, I mean, they could get into some deep stuff, though, I think.
Yeah,
so they could definitely do that.
This has definitely been a comedic series, I would say. Like, overall, I would say WandaVision's been pretty comedic. Yeah, but they've been able to ride the line between comedy and drama with it pretty good. So I've got some good faith that they'd be able to pull that off with She-Hulk also, if they want to explore a little bit more of that. Like, maybe Hulk becomes kind of like Bruce Banner in the Avengers game, where he's just like totally a recluse, and he's like, I'm over it. I don't want to be part of anything anymore. Like,
you think he's gonna revert back to his human form?
I would think so. Because that would be cheaper to do. Like maybe and he'll have like a weird, gross arm.
Oh, that's right.
From Hulk doing it. I don't know. Maybe we could see a reversion back to Banner.
But yeah, man, I didn't even think that's possible for the show, is that like these cases could be because people are coming back from the blip, and there could be some legal trouble with that.
I don't know. It could be interesting to see where they take elements of that going forward. I feel like that's going to be a big crux of this phase, is kind of seeing the fallout from Endgame. Like what happens to the world after that happy ending? Because there is a lot of questions about how that blip would affect stuff. Because obviously there wasn't an effort to bring back people in safe locations. It was just bring people back. Like that was the crux of what Hulk did. He's just like, bring them back. That's all I want. Like he didn't go into the thought process of probably what Thanos would have done, which is bring them back, but make sure they're in like this location or this location, that kind of thing. Because I don't know, it'll be very interesting to see how that all shakes out.
Other cool things I thought that was in the show was the idea Rambeau had as far as going back into the Hex using outdated technology. Right, as we saw, like, the drone reverted into what that era would perceive it. Right.
Yeah. So they found a drone from the 80s to use. Like that was great. I loved that.
Yeah, and I was kind of hoping to see more of that stuff, but I doubt we're going to, as we're already in the 90s, and we'll probably get to the early 2000s, like How I Met Your Mother type of comedy.
Yeah, I figure we'll get there pretty quick. I'm wondering if one of these episodes is going to be set up like The Office.
As a mockumentary?
Yeah, sort of like Modern Family type deal, where everyone has like camera cutaways where they explain like how they're feeling about what's happening in the scene. Sort of like the Muppets like series that came out for that little bit. I think that could be kind of an interesting take on one of these episodes if they wanted to go into that version of sitcom stuff. But yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer that we're not going to see more old tech getting thrown in there to assimilate to the area that they're in.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm curious about is, towards the end of episode 6, Monica says she has a guy that could give her something to get back into the Hex. So I'm wondering what that's going to be.
Well, and whoever this person is an aerospace engineer, specifically.
Yes, which is the big talk of it might be a certain stretchy armed person.
I'm kind of I would love that to be the case, but I'm leaning far more towards Rhodey at this point. Because if it's something that's going to allow her to get into the hex, I would imagine that it's some type of armor that would probably have like flight capabilities, a la War Machine. And who's the only other person who really understands how to build those suits? Rhodey at this point. Like, you know, like so Rhodey to me feels like the most obvious answer to that question. I would love for it to be Reed Richards, don't get me wrong. Like, I think that would be super cool to see John Krasinski just show up out of nowhere. Like, that would be great. But I have a lot more stock in that it'll probably end up being Rhodey, because they have to set up his show Armor Wars.
That's what I was just going to bring up, yeah.
It would be great if it's Reed Richards. That would be awesome. But I think in terms of what I think they'll do realistically, it'll probably end up being Rhodey.
Yeah, I'm sure Feige has way bigger plans to bring in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I can't imagine he would just be like, yeah, we'll do it right now. But they've done it before. Like, they did it with Hawkeye and Thor, where it's just literally like 10 seconds in the movie and he's there. So there's a propensity to do that. But
yeah, like, well, yeah, if he doesn't have any dialogue or anything, right? Like, we just see him walk past by, and then you just see like the Baxter building, or you see his name on a name tag or something, right?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to bring up something about the drone. I thought it was interesting that it was a Stark Industries drone. Like, it was an old Stark Industries product that they used. Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, because when I saw it, I thought it made sense, because I was like, oh yeah, he's, of course, like, Stark would have like the high-tech stuff in that time, right?
Yeah, and also I think it's kind of interesting that it insinuates that could be a similar type of drone to the one that bombed Sokovia when they were kids.
And then especially when they launched the missile at her.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, that's just straight up. That's too much. You guys are pushing some big buttons there, buddies.
It's right on the nose. Yep.
Whoo, boy. So I thought that was kind of neat. What do you think about Rambeau being mutated?
Yes. So as she's, adamant of going back in there because for some reason her character is just so pro Wanda. I think they're trying too hard with Rambeau's character in the show.
I would agree. I like her in some scenes, but then there are other scenes where I'm just like, I don't know you well enough.
I'm not feeling like that stuff where she's like trying to convince, like she's like so on her side, she's counter arguing every point that the director of S.W.O.R.D. is making. Barely even remember what happened in there, like, and especially like us, the audience, we're watching all the other people and how like they're actually in pain, right? Like that woman that was like frozen, like doing the loop, and like we see the teardrop come out of her eye.
It's I don't know. I think Monica needs to take a step back. I hope in the next episode or two they bring up a lot more about the connection between her and Captain Marvel and how that might be making her think she can do more than she can. Because I feel like that might be an aspect of it, that there's a hero complex with Monica Rambeau, which would be great to explore, but I feel like they're probably not going to touch on it because it's hard to work that in because that's a pretty big plot point.
They might mention something since it's been brought up more than once and she had a reaction to those comments, so maybe someone's going to ask her about it.
Like, that would be cool. I would like that a lot.
Yeah.
If they were able to say, like, you need to take a step back. Just because you were an ally of Captain Marvel doesn't mean you have the experience necessary to deal with this situation. I think if I can just get that one line of dialogue out of somebody in the show directed towards Monica, so we can kind of see her like have a moment of like, oh yeah, I guess I do need to calm down a little bit.
I would like to see that stuff because, that would open a lot to what S.W.O.R.D. actually does, right? Because when she's trying to work again in episode 4, they say she's grounded, and it's sort of implied like it's intergalactic flight that they've been doing.
Yeah, like it feels like S.W.O.R.D. kind of stemmed out of the group that Nebula, Rocket, and Captain Marvel were a part of in Endgame. Like, it feels like it's something put together by them.
But it can't be, though, because they mentioned that it was founded by her mom.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but we don't know exactly what year that was, right? Because she was still alive up until the time skip.
Yeah, and through the time skip to a certain point also. Like, we don't know how much further into the time skip she was involved.
But yeah, to stem back to the question, so she's like, she wants to go back, but as Darcy pointed out, like, we got to look at her real blood work, because she's like, I don't have time for this, you know? We see that she's being changed on a
molecular level. Or DNA? Is that what they said? Like, it's all the way down to your DNA that it's changing?
Yeah, her DNA is changing, is what I think Darcy said. And I know a lot of people are thinking, is this how mutants are coming in? Right? Like, these people in this town, and if it keeps expanding, this is where the mutants are born. The first thing I thought of was that, oh, this is how she gets her Captain Marvel powers.
That was another aspect of it that I think might happen.
But then, yeah, the mutant question was brought up, and I'm like, I guess this is a way. How are you gonna justify bringing in the main X-Men cast? You know, because, like, are they all here in this town? Like, this is where they get all their powers. There's just I think too much to juggle if they're not gonna do multiverse to bring them in. You know?
Yeah, but that would be how they get to do their alternate versions of Magneto and Professor X and stuff. They can do all kinds of crazy stuff with this if they really want to.
Yeah, because they can't go with the origin anymore, right? Because this is the year 2029, I think. You know, that you can't really say that they're World War II survivors, you know, or at least Eric's character.
Unless there's some type of crazy time travel nonsense that gets the X-Men into the present day. There's no real way to do that.
Which, I mean, you know, the X-Men do time travel a lot, so.
They do. So I don't know what else I really have to comment on. I love Jimmy Woo. Jimmy Woo's great. I like the idea of having a show based around Jimmy Woo later, like giving him like an X-Files style spinoff where he just like goes on weird mystery adventures around the world, just dealing with superhero weirdness like this. I would be totally into that. I've heard a lot of people talking about a show like that. Where they kind of pull in him, Monica, and Darcy into like a show to have them be like a little trio of mystery detective people working for SWORD. And I was like, yeah, I'd watch that. That would be fun. You know, have them dealing with different metahumans and stuff, or like blip issues and all that kind of jazz. That could be kind of fun. I know what I wanted to talk about. What'd you think of the mid-episode commercial in episode 6, 4, 5, and 6?
Yeah, oh my gosh, dude, the claymation guy.
First of all, I loved that it was a rip on like 90s yogurt commercials. It's like, I would totally go buy that.
I love that stuff so much. Yeah.
Yo Magic, go buy Yo Magic today. And I was like, yeah, love that. That's great. But it gets real creepy when he can't open it and then the kid just dies. And I was like, oh my god. That's so dark. And then there was the last one from episode 5, which was about Lagos, which is where Wanda blew up people on accident.
Yeah.
I don't remember what 4's was. What was 4's mid-episode commercial deal? Did they have one in that one?
I don't think there was one because that was all like catching up the real world.
That's right.
What's going on in there? Yeah.
So that one probably didn't have it. I've seen the theory that each commercial is kind of a representation of an Infinity Stone. I think I sent you that picture in the chat that's kind of linking them all to Infinity Stones. I don't know what this latest one connects to. I have no idea what stone that's supposed to be. I don't know.
I was trying to think of it right now, and the only thing I could guess is maybe the Soul Stone.
Yeah, because it's like on an island, like by themselves. It totally boggles my mind. I don't know which stone that's supposed to be.
Yeah, because the only ones that are left, is the Soul Stone and the Power Stone. So I could see it being the Soul Stone. But it's still trippy to see something like that happen. You know, like as we're talking about like Wanda's control, whether or not she's the one that started this or not, but as far as we know, she still has pretty good control over Westview. So to see something that looks like she could be losing control,
Yeah.
is the vibes I kind of got on that commercial.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, because of how dark it got, like,
yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I'm very curious about where it's going. I think the Lagos commercial is also a part of that to an extent. Like the Lagos commercial was about cleaning up your like messes you make or something like that. Like is what it's about, which is funny because she makes a big mess and causes civil war.
In Lagos, yeah.
Yeah, in Lagos. I don't know. All of those still feel like they are. I feel like the commercials are very separate from Wanda. There's something that I've always felt just off about them with. Even since the first one, like with the Stark Industries toaster oven deal. Something's just felt off about all of the mid-episode commercials, and I'm wondering if they have something to do with whoever the main driving force of all this stuff is.
Yeah, so that's going to be cool to see what maybe the next episode probably. There's one stone left, 3 episodes. Yeah.
Unless the next episode takes place primarily outside of the Hex, because now it's expanded and we have to see like the aftermath of that from the outside. But I do want to know what happened to Darcy. I'm curious what she gets turned into, because like she's in the realm of the area where all of the sword agents are being turned into like clowns and like circus performers. So like I'm like, Darcy was attached to a car right in front of that. So what would she have turned into? So I'm curious to see where that ends up going.
Yeah, I could see next episode being something like Jimmy and Monica try to sneak in, and like maybe like the suits that they wear, they'll be able to keep, they'll keep their sanity going in, and then they'll have to try to blend in into the world to find out to get more info or something,
Do you think there's going to be that Jimmy's going to get in a suit, or do you think it's just going to be Monica that goes in?
It'll probably just be Monica.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
They're making an emphasis on how important Monica is going to be for this show. And also I'm wondering if we're going to see any Avenger action coming in like the start of the next episode, because now that it's going to be a bigger deal, maybe like somebody big has to come in and see what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that Doctor Strange is going to show up in some capacity, because he feels like the logical person to bring in. Of all the people they should have contacted about this entire situation, it should be Doctor Strange. Or at least Wong. Like, Wong would be cool. Like, if they just brought him in. Like, I'm like, yeah, bring in all the C-listers.
Yeah, if we have to downgrade because of budget sake, yeah, I could see that.
Like, getting Wong in instead.
Mm-hmm. Wong would be a good fit, just for the sake of the comedy that we have in the show. And then him riffing off of Jimmy Woo. That could be fun.
What show is this?
Yeah, he'll do the card trick.
Oh, yeah, and then Jimmy Woo can be like, yeah, I heard you're a magician. I know some magic myself. And he does the card flip, and the Wong just stares at him, like, super awkward. Like, I would enjoy that.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't think I have anything else to say about the show. Other than I'm liking the direction that Vision is going. We haven't really talked much about him, but yeah, him being more independent, and it just feels uncomfortable in this world.
Yeah,
I think it's been great.
I think it's interesting that he doesn't remember himself being an Avenger, or part of like a team. Yeah, like he doesn't remember any of the Avengers. He doesn't remember Tony or anybody. All he knows is Wanda and the town, and that he actively wants to help people. Like he has an active sense of obviously moral morality. Like he's actively there to help. Like to help people, like that's what he feels. So
yeah, and I think it's probably part of Wanda's doing by making sure he doesn't remember being an Avenger, because that might trigger, him remembering his death.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I think that's probably going to be brought up next episode, right? As he was literally dying before Wanda moved the Hex to make sure that he was in it, so he could stay alive. I'm pretty sure that's going to be brought up like right away.
Oh yeah, I could imagine.
I will say the interesting thing about these past few episodes, though, is we haven't seen Wanda do her cut into trying to fix what's going on.
Yeah, like it seems like she hasn't made an effort to do that again. And I wonder if that has to do with the more modern like version of the show that it's progressed to. I don't know. One of the other things that I read about that I thought was kind of interesting is that there are other episodes of the WandaVision show that we're not seeing, that that the other characters in the show are able to watch. Like there's many more episodes than what we're actually able to visually see, where it's Vision and Wanda going around and doing like sitcom antics, which I think is a bummer. I would love to just see the show at some point. Like, I think that would be kind of fun, just to see an episode without any weird glitchiness to it. Just because I really like the concept. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that. Like I know they asked in the Collider interview, are there going to be deleted scenes on Disney Plus? The director's not really sure, but if we could get some of that, or like some blooper reels of them doing sitcom stuff, you know, that'd be cool to see.
Yeah, that would be pretty tight. So,
yeah. I did like that aspect though, because you know, trying to get contact with Wanda in that world, they had to time it right based on what was happening each episode.
So they had to kind of figure out where to work their way in to make it make sense. Yeah, so far it's been pretty interesting. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. But I don't think I've got anything else I can really expand on. I love Vision. I love him. He's wonderful. I can't wait to see what else he does. I'm hoping he makes it past the show. Really hope he makes it past the show. I don't want him to just get stuck here and then die. That would be horrible, especially for Paul Bettany. That would be no fun.
If they were to keep Vision, I could see it where he's alive, but he doesn't have his powers anymore because he doesn't have the stone. So he could be sort of like an advisor or something for the Avengers.
Or even just have him come back to being a Jarvis type character would be cool.
Yeah.
Somehow able to retransfer his consciousness back in would be nice. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but it would be cool if they could.
And final thought is, I just hope that the Sword people are way better next episodes, you know?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, guys, so that is WandaVision, episodes 4, 5, and 6. Can't wait for the final 3 and seeing exactly where it's going to lead to next. If the episodes are going to be an hour long, we might come back and do just one each, because, you know, an hour is a lot of content, and since these will be the quote-unquote third act, I would say, for this show, I think there's going to be a lot of information and some quality stuff in there. So if that is the case, then yeah, I wouldn't mind coming back each week and just breaking down those episodes. And we'll let you know on social media, probably over on Twitter, if that's going to go down or not. Moving on for the show, we did get there is some news and stuff that happened since last time we talked. Mainly the Super Bowl happened.
Oh, and we got the least exciting Marvel trailer ever. Sorry, I have no hype for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, man. There's nothing there for me. I don't care. I got nothing. It's man.
Yeah, after watching the trailer, I was thinking this is everything that I was expecting for the show. Like with how the feel was going to be, the dynamic between Bucky and Sam, talking about how like it kind of feels a little forced on Rambeau's character. It almost sounded a little forced for Zemo. I forget the line. He's like, "Oh, my original plan was to stop the Avengers. Like, it's not over yet," or something. Like,
yeah,
whatever the line was. He's like, "You thought I was done in Civil War. You're wrong." But it's like, but you were gonna kill yourself in Civil War to end it.
Yeah, there's a disconnect there. There's a part of me that wonders if it's even actually Zemo, to an extent. Because I mean, we've seen like a press photo, obviously with him and the mask, but like we never get to see him in the trailer. We just see him from behind.
Right.
You know, and obviously, like it looks like less than Zemo, but more Flag Smasher is going to end up being the main direct villain. Which Flag Smasher looks boring. It's a lady in a mask with a handprint on it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you gotta love those classic comic book villains.
Oh yeah, I don't know. They did Flag Smasher as dirty as they did Ghost, man. I'm not into it. I don't feel it. It's
from Ant-Man the Wasp, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because Ghost could have been a really cool freaking character, and they completely changed the power set, and the suit meant nothing. at that point. Nothing. So man.
Yeah, it didn't even help with her problem, right?
No, it didn't do anything. It's like the whole reason that suit is designed the way it is so that she can interact with technology, and she doesn't do that at all.
We caught a glimpse of Shannon Carter here.
Oh yeah, she's back.
She's just been on the road, I guess. She doesn't
really
work.
I heard that she's been on the run since Civil War, because she helped out Captain America's side, so she's technically a fugitive.
Which, it's crazy to think, right, after Infinity War.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess they just forgot about her, because she's not an Avenger, you know?
Yeah, they're just like, whatever. She was just a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Look, I like the Sam and Bucky bits in Civil War. Like, they were fun, but, it's one of those things where those are just bits. Like, that's not a whole show. So, no. I hope it's not like that the whole time.
Honestly, Sam and Bucky's energy in this is, like, totally wrong, in my opinion. Because I felt like they were on a better level of respect by the end of Endgame. A much better level of respect, actually, than what they show them in that weird interrogation room thing where they have to sit facing each other, and
they got their legs like right next to each other too.
Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know how to feel about that scene. I don't know.
It's just for the humor. Yeah.
I guess. It didn't ring with me at all. I just didn't. I wasn't feeling it. I don't know. I'm a little bummed we didn't get to see U.S. Agent at all in the trailer. Like, we just see the back of him, which I thought was a bummer. I wanted to hear him actually have dialogue in the trailer. I would kind of like it if they play the dynamic up of they're both kind of taking over the role of Captain America. Like, if they kind of do that, where it's like the shield is sort of split between the two, like the responsibility is put on both their shoulders instead of just Falcon is the new Cap. It would be kind of fun to have it be like a combination of the two, which could lead to East and West Coast Avengers, which would be really fun.
Oh, yeah, that could be cool.
Like, that would be awesome. Like, obviously, like, Bucky would stay on the East Coast because of his Brooklyn background and stuff, and then maybe Falcon feels the need to go out west and visit California and have his own deal going on out there. So it'd be kind of fun to have like a back and forth with that. Would be kind of neat. But I don't know if if they're planning that far in advance with this. I'm a little thrown off by I'm thrown off by the future city that they show for like a second in here. I'm like, what the hell is that? Is that supposed to be like Tokyo or Dubai? I don't know where this is. I like that they have Falcon being cocky and like jumping out of the plane just like Cap would jump out of planes. I thought that was kind of fun. And like even the way that shot's framed is very similar to how Bucky fell out of the train way back. Like, I thought that was kind of a fun scene. So there's elements of it that I think are fun. I don't know. A lot of this just like feels very just run of the mill. It feels very like
it's what you expect for a show like this.
Yeah. And I know they're trying to say that this is supposed to be sort of a spy thriller, kind of like Winter Soldier, but this trailer doesn't really give me a sense of that. Like, I don't know. Maybe they need to do another trailer that's a little less action oriented, maybe. I guess. I mean,
this also came out during the Super Bowl, so maybe that has influence on how they sort of frame the trailer.
Yeah, like framed it a little bit more intensely and stuff.
And then plus all the humor too, you know.
I like Falcon's new outfit except for his goggles. I think his goggles look a little goofy.
Well, there's that shot of him flying in the air and it looks like his goggles aren't even on right.
Yeah, like they're kind of like wedged up on his face a little bit, like they're up a little too high or something.
I was like, what's up with that?
Yeah, it's very weird. The goggle design does not look good. It's very weird. Yeah, and you don't see Zemo at all. Kind of making me think that Daniel Bruhl is a little expensive at this point for Marvel, so maybe they're not using him as much. Yeah, even the shot right here where he's flying next to the truck, like the goggles don't look like they come down far enough on his face. Like they look like they're too high.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
That's a weird choice.
Like, what are you gonna say? These are TV goggles. That's why they're not as
yeah,
well
like
made.
that doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it looks better when it'll come out. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like, what organization like they're supposed to be working for. Like, are they working for the U.S. government? Are they working for?
Oh, that's true. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, like, because obviously there's some type of director lady that's like giving them an interview of some kind.
You know, whatever group Fury has been working with since Shield fell, maybe it's them.
Well, but Fury's not working with anybody right now. He's in space with the Skrulls, not doing shit.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, remember in Age of Ultron, he got all those people to come in. It's like, but who are these guys? They're not Shield, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Shannon Carter, she was CIA.
Yeah.
So maybe it's them, if I had to guess. But yeah, that's all I have to say for Falcon and Winter Soldier. It comes out 2 weeks after the finale for WandaVision.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay to wait until that one's all the way out, and then I may watch it. I don't know if I'm going to keep up with that one week to week.
Yeah, I'll check out the first episode for sure. You know, and just go from there. But there is something coming out the day before, March 18th, if I'm not mistaken, that we are all excited about. That got an official trailer on Valentine's Day. Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I'm so excited. Ooh, that new trailer looks so good, man. I'm hyped. My hype levels are strong.
I will say it is weird that it's in 4:3 for the for the cropping. I don't know why they did that, unless it's like because Zack Snyder probably posted it on Vero or something. You know,
I'd imagine it had something to do with them posting it on a social media website of some kind. I saw a joke that he posted it in 4:3 because he's making a point of it being on television. I'm like, but TVs aren't that shape.
is he just being one of those stubborn directors that that TV isn't as good?
Yeah, maybe. Like, he's just like, no, TV's terrible. It's only movie theaters. Apparently this is coming out to theaters. Like, there's going to be select screenings of Zack Snyder's Justice League in movie theaters. And I don't know where they're going to be open here because California's movie theaters are still currently closed. So I don't know. We might have to road trip to go see this in theaters that are actually open, because I would like to see this on the big screen somewhere.
Yeah, if that's true, that's going to be great. So yeah, this was a solid trailer. It did its job, make it super hyped. I thought the intro was a nice touch with Jesse Eisenberg doing his line from BVS about the God is dead.
I like that quite a bit. I love that there's absolutely no Whedon footage in any of this. Like, you can tell that it's definitely all shot by...
Speaking of the Whedon cut, somebody made a fan trailer with the same beats as this one, using the theatrical cut, and then he did a comparison just to show the differences. One thing was, there's the attack. We see Darkseid, first of all, in this, which he looks amazing.
Darkseid looks awesome, both in his pre-Darkseid form and his post-Darkseid form. I also love that he's just, like, 15 feet tall. Like, he's as tall as, like, Bumblebee in the Transformers movies. Yeah. He's just massive. It's great. I want to see him fight Superman really bad. I'm ready. I'm down. Oh boy. I know that it may not happen in this movie, but if they're able to do another thing with Darkseid showing up, and man,
you know, and cool. I think my favorite part with how he looks is you can tell this is a DC movie. I think just the way that they're going at it visually with the CG, I thought that was a nice touch. But I bring him up because in this trailer there is a shot of him attacking. Let me see if I could. There's a shot at 1:13 where he's getting the axe and he swings it down on the ground.
Oh yeah, that's the same motion as Steppenwolf, right?
Yes, yeah, that was going to bring up is it's the same exact animation.
Yeah, like they just put Steppenwolf in that place. Yeah, mm-hmm. I remember seeing that comparison stuff. I love how much more Cyborg we have in this trailer. There's like way more Cyborg action in here.
Almost like they're trying to say something, right?
Yeah, right? Like, Cyborg's a good character and he kind of got done dirty earlier. I think it's interesting that they show clips from the Wonder Woman bank heist scene, and the explosion happens out of the windows. Like, she doesn't... It looks like she doesn't manage to throw the explosive out of the room in time. Because in the original... In the Whedon cut, she saves all those people and throws the suitcase, like, up into the air. Like, above the building, and it explodes in midair. But in this version of it, it's like at 1:35. They show her, like, doing the block, and then it cuts to outside, and the explosion happens, and, like, that entire floor of the bank is just blown outward with smoke and fire. So I'm wondering if there's going to be Wonder Woman couldn't save the people in that room type of deal.
But yeah, that's an interesting touch. It's sort of that's the difference between Snyder and Whedon, obviously, right?
Yeah, like Whedon lets his heroes fail. Snyder lets his heroes fail. I like that we get to see more of the Speed Force going on, with Barry running through like the blue galaxy thing. There's just like a moment of Steppenwolf like swimming in water and grabbing a mother box.
Yeah, we did get a look at the other two people working under Darkseid.
Desaad and Granny Goodness, man. I can't believe they put Granny Goodness in a movie.
Look, man, Snyder knows what he's doing, right?
Yep.
I think it's pretty clear now.
He's pretty on top of it. That's what I gotta say. Holy moly. You know what else is one of my favorite parts of this trailer? Superman at no point looks like he has a CGI face.
Yeah.
There's no painted out mustaches here, man. They're all here.
And of course, no red skyline, right? No Age of Ultron stuff, nothing there. That's good. And I gotta say, man, yeah, the best part of the trailer, very end, internet breaking. We get to see Jared Leto, surprisingly, in this trailer.
We live in a society.
It's so great he said it, man. Can't believe he said it.
Can't believe he did it. I cannot believe it. They did it. Oh,
yeah, it's great, man. So he's in the nightmare sequence stuff, which makes sense. I was imagining it was probably going to be like some build-up before Darkseid's minions show up. Like Batman has to deal with Joker and Gotham, and then stuff starts kicking off this movie. But if it's in the nightmare sequence, that's cool. I wonder how their relationship is going to be. And again, it's cool to see more nightmare stuff. I don't think we got that right in the theatrical.
No, I don't think we got any nightmare stuff in the theatrical version. Like, it all took place present day.
And then plus it being the nightmare sequence, that's when they get away with it not having tattoos. You know, his hair is long.
His lips look weird. That's the one thing I'll say, is that the lip stuff looks very strange. But the rest of it's like fine.
Their attempt at Ledger's Joker, I guess, right?
Yeah. I love Clark in the black suit. I love it. I love him in the outfit. It's everything I wanted it to be except for the mullet. I want the mullet. I want the mullet.
Well, the beard too, right? Can't forget that.
That too. Beard and mullet, man. That's what we needed. Oh, man. I love the implication of Superman's scream. Like the reverberation of the sound waves being the signal. Yeah. Like, that's super cool. Like, because Superman is so strong, like, his scream is literally what signals them to come to Earth. Like, I love that.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, the Kryptonian's gone. Now's our chance.
Yeah, like, that's great. I love that idea. It's very Superman 2. Like, with at least the Donner cut version of Superman 2, where Superman reversing time sends out shockwaves across the universe and frees Zod and the other two. Spectacular. Spectacular. I love it. Almost like crazy how the callbacks are like, I don't know, they're so like intentional. Like, Snyder knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah, well, you have to remember this was originally part of a 5-story arc that he was telling through these movies, right? So there's a lot coming in here.
God, just the shot of Granny Goodness and Desaad, and oh man, I'm just watching the trailer again, and it's just so good. I love how violent he like Steppenwolf gets when he's fighting the Amazonians.
Yeah, it gets brutal, right? We actually see some blood, people getting chopped in half. Yeah,
we get to see Nightmare Cyborg for like a second. He's got like a crazy, like, huge gun like coming off of his back. That was awesome. Like, he's just weaponed out like crazy. Like, he's just ready to go. Like, also, I gotta say, the effects on Cyborg look fantastic in terms of, like, the CG on like, his body. Like, they super finished it up, like, compared to the Whedon version. Like, it looks way nicer here.
Yeah, it's more cleaned up. It doesn't have that weird jittery motion it had.
Yeah, like, it looks super smooth. Like, if there was one thing that they did, it's that they fixed Cyborg.
Yeah,
they did a great job.
It is a little. It does still feel a little out of place, but I think that's just because of how reflective it is.
I love Clark doing the little callback to Man of Steel with his takeoff. He's got his fist in the ground, and then all the rocks start levitating around it, and he kind of like sees he notices it happening, and then that's when he takes off, just like a Man of Steel. I'm like, yes, wonderful. Love the Bat Tank from Dark Knight Returns. That's great.
It's ridiculous and it's great.
Yeah, I'm like, that's beautiful. I love it. Man, it all looks so much better. It just looks.
Okay, so Zack Snyder was actually in an interview the other day.
Oh.
On 1 Minute Men, and they were talking about the Snyder cut and what's the movie length, and he says it's 4 hours, a little bit more when you count the credits and all that. And he said if it was going to be in cinema, they had a 10-minute intermission built into the movie, and there would be music playing during the intermission from Junkie XL. So that's cool. And then I did hear this talk about there is a black and white version of the movie or something, right?
Yeah, like that's the version that Zack Snyder wants to release.
Yeah,
is the black and white cut.
That's called the Gray Edition.
Yeah, which I love. I'm into it. I'm down.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's gonna be a good time.
You're gonna have to come down, and we're gonna have to watch this at my place, man. This is.
We're gonna have to get all the boys together. Yeah. Well, cool, man. I think with that, it's safe to say we could go ahead and wrap up this episode of Marvel Talk today. So yeah, again, like we said, take a peep at social media, Instagram, Twitter. We will let you know probably this weekend when episode 7 drops, if we're going to do it weekly or we're just going to wait until it all finishes. But for sure, that's coming up next. And then the inevitable Snyder Cut episode will be here as well. While we wait for that fantastic episode to come, Jake, where can we find you at?
As always, you guys can find me anywhere on the internet at Corruption Cosplay with K's. Currently working on my Mandalorian build. I got a little snag with the 3D printer. I'm currently working to fix it, but I got most of the armor printed out except for the thighs. So those will be that'll be coming real soon. I got all the soft goods in, so it's just painting up the armor and attaching it to the suit, and I'm good to go.
Heck
so
yeah.
It's getting pretty good, man. I'm doing a lot more work with Kids Can Cosplay. We're doing a lot more videos and stuff there, so please go check out Kids Can Cosplay's YouTube channel. We do storytime videos and virtual visits and all kinds of stuff. So they're doing real good stuff to help out during all these uncertain times and all that. So check out Kids Can Cosplay. They're good people, good folks. And Danny, where can we find you?
As always, you could find me at Negator7 anywhere on social media. And right now I am streaming more often on Twitch at Negator7 as well. And you can also catch me on our other podcast, Unversedpodcast, like we mentioned earlier in the show. There I do weekly manga reviews and then whatever else we do.
Cool.
So right on, guys. Thanks for swinging by again. And, the social media is at Marvel Talk Cast to get those updates. And then again, marveltalkpodcast@gmail.com. So thanks, guys. And remember,
we live in a society.